What we got here is this little Simplicity Wonderboy 600. I picked this up earlier this summer. This thing had been sitting for a while, and I basically saved this from getting hauled off to the junkyard. I'll put a video link up at the end of the video here if you didn't see the first part of this where I picked this up. So, as I said, this is a Wonderboy Simplicity. We're going to take this into shop here, and we're going to see about getting this thing up and running here. So we're going to go ahead and give this thing a push up here in the shop. Fortunately, this thing don't roll. Rolls pretty easy, pretty light. Some of these old leaves off here. All right. Okay, so I still haven't figured out what year this thing is. It's got to be 60s, I know that. It ain't set up. Yeah, typical recoil spring on these older motors. Yeah. You know what? I'm beginning to wonder if this is even the original motor on this. Just by looking at the DNS on there for brakes and strap, and that's an older thing that they did. Well, see if this thing's got any spark. The throttle cables on here, they're frozen solid on this thing. This guy's got any compression to it at all. I can see right now, me and this recoil ain't gonna get along very well. Become a problem. Might have to take care of that issue. Well, I see the valves moving up and down in there, so that's a good sign. See if this guy's got any spark. This recoil is going to be a pain in the butt. If I can get a decent pull on it here, just enough. See if she's got a light to her. I'm not seeing spark. Ooh. Not good. Yeah, to get more into this, do a little more research on this motor. Try to figure out what this is. It has a tag on it, so that will definitely make it easier. I still don't know on these. I'm wondering if someone put this motor on here. You know what? This might even be a 7-horse engine. Now I think about it, that's a good possibility too. But it seems like on this year's Simplicity, I don't have a whole lot of knowledge on these Simplicity as I'm more of an international guy, but this seems like for this era, the motors would have been white and not black. So I don't know if anybody, there's probably people out there who know more about these Wonderboys than what I do. Anybody has any knowledge on these things, leave a comment down below. I'd kind of like to know. So, we got a mismatched bolt down here or something. Oh, that's cute. Someone put a longer bolt in and put another bolt on it, a nut for a shim. Good Lord. That's a long-winded bolt down there. There we go. Oh, come on, Bessie. Here we go. Alright. Cable's bolted on there. Okay, so she should come off. Yeah. Cables are going to be in the way, I can tell you that right now. These cables are all rusted to heck, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to take and cut these cables off because I'm going to replace them anyway. So we'll make life simple in that aspect. Wow. There we go. Sorry about that, didn't mean to move you guys. Come on, very easy. Very good. Ouch, there we go. Yeah, this got the whole air vane governor on it. Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to take and clean this off here and clean all those fins out. I probably going to have to pull the flywheel and get the points cleaned up on it. Oh. I got a little bit of the Zep purple industrial cleaner here. This is what I use in my shop. It does a pretty good job. I like it okay. Yeah, I got this all cleaned up here, sprayed off. Let's I want to take and check the oil in this thing real quick here. Oh, wow, that's not pretty tight. See much oil down in there. A little oil. Kind of low on oil. Smells like old oil. So yeah, I'm not sure how long this thing has been sitting. You see that video I first got it, you see where it came out of. I'm assuming this thing's probably been sitting for years. We're talking. That starter recoil over there, that was in pretty, that thing was full of sand and dirt, so I got that kind of freed up and working again. I got it soaking in some liquid wrench here to get that going, so we're going to let that soak overnight. And what I'm going to do right now is, being this thing's been sitting for a while, I'm going to take and dump a little bit of Marvel's Mystery Oil here down in the cylinder. Because this more than likely this is going to have some sticky rings in it. Let's try to help rejuvenate these rings to get this thing fired up again. Okay, she's full. So we'll let this Marvel's Mystery Oil sitting there and soak overnight, and we'll have to come back to this a different day. Marvel Mystery Oil, that soaked down through the engine here and left a nice puddle on the floor for me to find this morning to come out. That recoil that was all screwed up yesterday, that soaked overnight, and that's working fairly well again now, so we're still working at that. So at this point right now, I'm going to take and pull this flywheel off and get a look at those points in there and see about filing those up. We can get them working or not, and get this starter clutch out. You gotta love these things. Sometimes you start these guys up and they'll squeak at you, so I'll take and clean that up and just they don't like you to oil the ball bearings up inside there, but I figure what I'll do is I'll take some Slidicone and spray inside there, and we'll give that a whirl. I got this handy dandy starter clutch tool removal. These work really well. Alright, I'm going to do something you're not supposed to do right here. I got this putting a chrome socket on an impact gun. So this works. I use a lot of this liquid muscle here in the shop. So I like this stuff okay. Alright. Jam my handlebar back in down there behind there, and got my brass mallet here. See if she's gonna let go or not. Whew. She's on there tight. Hey, how about that? Back in these crankshafts right here. Use a brass mallet, otherwise you booger that thing up. You go try to put your starter clutch back on, you're gonna hate yourself. Get that points cover off there. Oh. Don't look too awful in there. Yeah. Well, it's good. Trying to see if those points are open and closing. Might be that plunger there is frozen up, stuck. Nope, she's moving. So, all right. Get me a piece of sandpaper and clean that up and check the gap on these things, and hopefully that condenser on there is good. This piece 220 sandpaper. I had a points file around here somewhere, but I seem to have misplaced it. Make sure they're set right. I'm looking for 20 thousandths here. Yep, we're 20 thousandths. And we still ain't got spark. So, it's a possibility we got a bad capacitor right here, or possibly this is bad. So, gonna have to go do some digging and see if maybe I got a capacitor that I can use here. Or I know I ain't gonna have one of those laying around, so either this is something I'm gonna be able to make happen here, or I'm gonna have to order some parts and come back to it. So after digging through my parts and getting on catalogs and computer looking for a coil and points and condenser kit for this, this is a 4-tower mount coil. These aren't the easiest to come by, and when you do find them, they are quite pricey, and it takes forever and a day to get them sometimes. So what I ended up doing here, I always try to keep this stuff as much original as possible, but what I did, instead of boring you guys me trying to figure out what was the best way to do this quickly, I took an I installed this high energy ignition coil. Give this thing some real horsepower right here. No, I'm just kidding. This coil here is actually off a newer style Intech Briggs. See, and that's the main thing on these coils. You got to make sure that you had the same tower spread when you mount the coils on. I checked out some other ones I had, but they just weren't quite wide enough. And this isn't a cut and dry application because you have a two tower mount coil right here. So what I had to do, see, this old system here runs off this air vane governor, okay, and that mounts right there on that coil tower. So in order to make this work, being a shorter coil, if you can, I don't know if you can see it down there. Yeah, you can. I had to make that little bronze spacer bushing right there so I could mount the back of this bracket right up here to the existing coil tower. This one here, we're just don't need to worry about that, but this will work. And so what I'm going to do is this, I'm just going to get rid of the old point system on here, but we're going to hit the lights on here and show you this girl does have spark. And they say, let there be light. So now we got spark on this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this back off and get rid of that old points assembly in there, and the shaft that goes through there for your cam that actuates the points. I got to take and plug that off so it don't leak oil in there. I'm not going to bore you guys. Watch me all do that and get this all put back together. And I come back, we're going to see about getting fuel to this girl and see if she's going to fire or not. So we got all that put back together now. So we were low on oil, so I'm going to just put some cheap oil in it. Cheap oil is this Conoco 10W30 synthetic blend. This will be good enough to get it up and get it running. And once we run it for a little bit, drain it all back out again and put some good stuff in it. So we'll fill this guy up and hopefully this thing's going to fire up and run all right. I see missing a couple bolts here out of the carburetor. That concerns me a little bit, so more than likely this thing is going to need some carb work done to it. But we'll see. You never know. Stranger things have happened. Alrighty, well, let's give her a roll here. See if this thing will start at all. I imagine probably going to follow the spark plug out here where that marble's in there, and this thing's going to smoke pretty good when we first start it, but we'll see what happens. She'll bark off first. Got some steroid juice here. See what happens here. I got my kill wire I had to hook up on it. Might have to take that snorkel off this to get more of a direct shot to that carburetor. Took this snorkel and stuff off here just so I could get in there better and see what's going on. Like I said, there's 2 screws missing out of here. So we'll just see what happens. Man, she's just not wanting to bust off right now. May end up having to take and pull that head off. It might be possible there's a stuck valve in it. Check compression again on this thing just for the heck of it. Oh, she's got compression. Okay. All right. See, we're not even getting a cough on this thing. I'm going to try taking that carburetor off and just go directly off up to the intake manifold. Here I took and I removed the carburetor on that, and carburetor, it wasn't as bad as some that I've seen, but it still wasn't great, and I'm either going to have to replace it or rebuild it. We've got a direct shot into the engine here with a steroid juice and see if it does anything now. So. Not even so much a blubber. Well, next thing I'm going to have to do then is I'm going to have to pull this off. I'm going to have to pull the valve off, the head off here and see what's going on there. Either we got a bad valve or a valve sticking there. There's something going on there. That's why she's not firing. I was hoping I was going to be able to get this video out to you this next week, but man, I don't know. This old girl's being a stubborn mule, firing up again. Let's see if I can slide this head off this way and save some time instead of pulling that blower shroud off again. Alright. Oh, how about that? Well, they don't look bad in there. possible the head gasket could have been leaking around here. It's darker there. Piston don't look bad in it. Let's see if the valves are working. Yeah. That cylinder's in really good shape on this too. Slight ridge there, not terrible. This head gasket's really smashed down here too. Kind of wonder if that's what part of the problem is, but yeah, we'll go through and we'll get this all cleaned up here. I may have a head gasket for this in stock here. Valves are closing all the way on it. All right, get this cleaned up. Cleaning and some inspection on here. I'm not really seeing an issue going on with the head gasket. I mean, I don't see it split or burnt anywhere. That concerns me. I can tell the cylinder head has been resurfaced at some point because that's flat now, and usually there's an outline from when they cast the head. So I just lightly scuffed it up. So I'm kind of leaning toward right now why this thing's not starting is it's got some low compression in it. I mean, it's got some compression, but it's probably not enough. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to take and put some of this Lucas oil stabilizer here in the cylinder here and try to get a seal on here if possible. Once I get this engine started up here, it can get some heat in it. Those rings might come back to life on it. Might being the key word. So I'm just putting that around the cylinder right there. Now, as far as the head gasket goes right here, we're gonna, being what I'm seeing here, a lot of people probably say this is a bad idea, but with what we're doing here, I'm not gonna be too upset about it. I'm gonna use the old Farmer Frank approach here and gonna grease this head gasket and put on here, being there's no splits and it's not broke anywhere. Gotta remember something here with these small engines. This isn't a water-cooled engine, so it's not that crucial. We're just mainly trying to seal the top of this engine so the compression don't leak out. So we're not trying to seal up water. So as long as you got a decent head gasket like this, it's not cracked or burnt, you can usually get away with this. So we'll get this put back together here and see what we get. I'm not seeing no reason why this thing shouldn't start other than it's just not got compression. So, all right, we'll go ahead and stick that guy down there. Like so. Obviously, you know, if this is something you're doing other than what I'm doing, by all means replace the head gasket. Oops. Being we're just trying to get this thing, see if this thing will run again. Kind of strange. All right, now we're back on a different day here. Had to go back to the drawing board and do some investigating on this thing. Nothing was making sense yesterday why this thing was not running. Started looking at some parts, and I also ran the number on this. The model number of this engine here is 142302 engine. I was wrong. This is not a 7-horse. This is actually a 6-horse Briggs & Stratton. So that's even better yet, because these 6 horses They're considered a rare motor as opposed to 7-8 horse engine. But I got thinking about this why it wasn't firing. I pulled this off here and started running my meters. This was a used coil I put on here, and it was showing spark on it. But more I thought about it, you know, it wasn't a super bright spark like I've seen on my tester. So I ran my meters and checked it for resistance on there and ohmed it out. I was getting 18 ohms of resistance on this coil right here. And I generally like to see between 5 and 7. So I was like, you know, I'm not going to let this little motor pull my pants down. I thought, thinking, I got a brand new electronic coil in the box up there. This for the heck of it. I'm going to put this thing on here. So I just changed this thing, and we're going to see if this thing will cooperate now. So let's see if this thing will start right now. All right. Hey, how about that? Well, now we know it's going to run. Now the next step, what we're going to do here is the carburetor's on here. It was missing parts. It's trash. It's got rust in it. I'm not going to mess with it. So I've got a bunch of, I got some 7-horse carburetors out back in a box. Some good parts. I'm taking clean one up, put together, and I'll throw a kit in it. And we're going to put that carburetor on here and see if we can get this thing sit here and idle and, you know, run nice. So we're back after about 2 hours later, going through different carbs. I got this carburetor all done, rebuilt, put back together. I ended up putting this carburetor together from 3 different carbs I had. The bottom on this thing is an older 7-horse carb. I put a kit in it. The top on this thing is, this is actually this Chinese Amazon top that I ended up putting on here, and I had to change this throttle lever over in order to make this work. While I had this off, I took this, removed this intake manifold on here and machined these surfaces on here so they're flat, and put that back together with a little bit of silicone around there, and seal that up so that could cure up overnight. So now we're at the point here, we're going to see if we can get this guy here to start up. The gas tank on it was full of rust. Not terrible, but I got that soaking in some white vinegar, and I'll put that on a later date. But I got the old Universal 2000 gas tank up there with some fresh wreck fuel directly right into the carburetor. So it's that point right now. Let's see if we can get this thing to start up and run and idle here. Might have to play with these mixture screws on here. We'll see what we got. Sound bad for an old 50-year-old engine there. Sounds pretty good. It's got pretty good compression coming out of the exhaust pipe. You put your hand up to it. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this video on this Simplicity. I was just going to show you guys all this. I got this whole shed full out back of old vintage garden tractors that I bought, and some was even donated for video content. If you look back there, there's another, that's a newer Simplicity Wonderboy. I got a old Craftsman hydrostat back there. There's a John Deere 214, there's a 110, a 112, and that's a rare tractor over there. That's a Dynastar tractor that was made by Noma back in the day. We're going to be getting that up and running. And as well, we got this AMF right there too that was made by Noma. We got an 80s style Simplicity, and got this late 60s Simplicity 727 Broadmoor. There's a John Deere 70 sitting there. So things to look forward coming forward on the channel. So yeah, the old Simplicity, she don't run too bad. Like I said, I don't know how long this tractor has been sitting, but I'm guessing it's been sitting for more than 10 years. And we're going to do something with this little tractor here. We'll go through and strip it down and start a restoration process on this. We still got that Sears Custom 10XL that's getting really close to getting done. So some of these restoration projects, you know, can take some time. So we'll be doing some more Will It Run videos. So until next time, thank you very much for watching. Please hit that like button down below and share with your friends, and maybe think about subscribing. Until next time, I'll see you in my next video. Take care.